Good evening. I'm Wesley Brown. Since Grace's passing, I've thought a lot about the words amazing grace, which I believe applied doubly to her because they express who she was and what she possessed. I was first introduced to Grace Paley, the writer, in the early 1970s while I was a student in the graduate creative writing program at City College. My mentor, Donald Barthelme, recommended Grace's The Little Disturbances of Man and Enormous Changes at the Last Minute as indispensable to my writing life. Donald lived not far from here on 11th Street and would sometimes invite students from the workshop to his home. It was there that I met Grace, who lived across the street. A few years later, I was interviewed at Sarah Lawrence for one of my first jobs teaching creative writing. Grace, Jane Cooper, who we've also recently lost, and Jean Valentine were among the group who talked with me. As I recall, Grace in particular was as interested in how I experienced the rough and tumble world around me as she was in how I would teach a writing workshop. I remember Grace saying once that often the only thing that comes with publication is silence. I took from those words that the validation of her work was not in its critical reception, but in the effort she made to give voice to what Jane Cooper called the crooning and combative language of the street. These voices spoke loud and clear in Grace's poetry and stories, or when she joined a public chorus creating a ruckus around some injustice that many would have preferred to keep quiet. But wherever Grace's voice made its presence felt, she never ceased to take delight in a world that also made her furious, as she does in this untitled poem. If you have acquired a taste for happiness, it's very hard to do without. So you try jollity for a while, jokes and merriment. Song is one of the famous methods for continuing or entrenching happiness. Here is another example of ordinary joy, the gathering together of comrades in disagreement and resolution followed by determined action. Still, the face of life will change partly because of those miserable scratches it makes on its own aging surface. Then happiness in the risky, busy labor of repair the world, after which, for the unsated, there will surely be talking all night, dances in schoolrooms and kitchens, and sometimes love of happiness, the most famous of all.